mAng and Neads show. Sonic Garden Radio.
All right, welcome everybody to another episode of Sonic Gardens Radio, mAng and Neads show. We're here, day number 7 of the lockdown in New York State and majority of the United States. And, we're just going to give you guys an update on how it's going and if this is, go from there. But anyway, if we could get a subscribe from you, that'd be great. Like, hit that little bell for alerts that we're going live. And right now we're going to bring you to the desk here with Mr. Joshua.
Good afternoon, everybody. How we doing today?
Yeah.
This is the Sonic Garden Radio, mAng and Neads show. We're going to go through some, we still got a fury coming on here from coronavirus. So we're going to go over some of that, some random stuff like we do. What are we listening to right now, actually?
Hey, man, intro song. This is a Shaka rehearsal of us doing the song So True.
Oh, I like it. Sounds catchy. So what do you got going on?
Nothing much, man. I'm just doing my thing to keep my distance and keeping my circle small for everybody's benefit, I guess. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
Right. Yeah, me too.
Yeah, we're keeping it small.
It's a triangle. Little 3 people triangle. Or 4 people. So trying to pull up the we gotta get to the bottom of this.
So I found this
Did you wait, sorry.
interesting article,
Yeah, tell me.
I guess, that was that I'll pull up here. This was like 5 top stories of misinformation, total false stories that people putting out there. And yeah, so like there was this one that was like shows like army setting up barricades. And so this Friday, March 20, in a file photo, a member of the New Jersey National Guard helps direct traffic at COVID-19 drive-through testing center in Paramus, New Jersey. On Friday, March 20, the Associated Press reported on stories circulating online incorrectly asserting that within 48 to 72 hours, the president will invoke what is called the Stafford Act and will order a 2-week mandatory quarantine for the nation. And anyway, this is not a true story. I guess we ought to be careful on what we talk about, what we're even reading here. But this one was a photo. The photo was taken in 2012, and it was shows a guy working on a fashion show for March 20th of 2020, which seems a little silly. So, whatever. Here's another one we got with this Thursday's photo shows bananas on the shelves of a supermarket in North Providence, Rhode Island on Friday.
And when was that photo from?
The video circulating online incorrectly asserting that research by scientists at the University of Queensland in Australia has proven that bananas bolster the immune system due to the super source of vitamin B6.
Ooh, there ain't nothing like it.
So bananas are not going to save you. I guess that's what they're saying.
Everyone's going bananas.
And here's a photo from this Monday. A photo. A patient receives a shot in the first stage study of potential vaccine. The disease caused by the new coronavirus. Blah, blah, blah. And then the Associated Press reported on stories circulating online indirectly asserting that the first person to receive the experimental vaccine is a crisis actor. So,
boy, here we fucking go with that shit again.
All participants who volunteered for the test were screened and had to meet a set of set list of criteria. They were not hired as actors to stimulate a role.
Huh.
And this is coming from the Associated Press and Ted Warren. So I guess
Ooh.
Ted Warren's supposed to have some credibility.
Evidently.
And the fifth story was on Saturday, January 5th, 2019, a file photo. Different kinds of baby formula line a shelf in Mankato, Minnesota.
You ever been there?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't believe I have either. I've been to Minnesota, though.
Yeah.
Really fun.
So they reported sources circulating online incorrectly that parents who can't find or afford baby formula right now, Gerber and Famille will send you a free case of formula. The posts circulating online are not true and emphasize they are working with retailers to keep shelves stocked.
Yeah. You can't stock what you don't have, though.
So
right?
you got to be careful what you read. I guess that's the point of that. And yeah, back to you. What do you got? What do we have on
We have
latest
worldwide
info? Here's the numbers, guys.
Worldwide, we have 328,275 total confirmed cases. We're gonna say, well, we're not gonna say, but what they have for total recovered. So there's some people still haven't recovered. So total recovered is 95,656 so far. 14,366 deaths so far.
So wait, what's that? What's the percentage there? What was the first number of the ones that have survived?
Total confirmed or total
Confirmed,
recovered?
confirmed recovered.
Total confirmed 328,275 and total recovered 95,656. And that's worldwide. Italy tops with deaths. Italy has 5,476 deaths, and this is all as of 2:13 p.m. today.
Today.
That was the
Okay,
last
so
time
you're-
this
so,
was updated.
quick-
So I'm behind an hour.
All right. Well, quick numbers would mean like 1/3 of the people that have been diagnosed have recovered.
Italy has 7,024 that have recovered. Let me get.
Yeah, man. I
and
guess
their
that's
infected is all right. Sorry to cut you off. Their
That's okay.
infected is 59,138. So that is 7,000, just over 7,000 of them have recovered so far, and fucking 5,476 had died. Yeah, so they're pushing 60,000 that have got this virus so far. China's got them beat, but China has nowhere near the death. So
Well, because
They've-
from what I understand, they actually did a better job of shutting down 100%, whereas we're given the option.
right.
Like, oh, do it on your own, and that's why, one of those. You just mentioned that a letter is being served to some people already, giving them permission to drive.
Yeah, which is
which
weird because they
appears to
haven't-
seem that the businesses associated know that the next step is coming, which
Well,
would
from
be
where I
an
heard
actual
and
shutdown
I saw the
of
letter.
the roads.
The letter that it came from is a big corporation, so they're in the know, like, and this is an essential business. So it sounds to me like you're giving letters out like that, so people are allowed to ride the road to go to work. Like, seems to me that they know something that we don't about maybe the roads getting shut down. I'm not 100% positive on this, like about that part, but
There's obviously
100%
anticipation, and
Right.
even going back to, like you said, if we go back to that show we had when Gino and Warner and Ryan were here, everybody, and Gino mentioned that this was a hot thing.
We haven't heard from
it
Gino
wasn't.
in a while. We need to hear from.
Yeah, he's
Uncle
probably
Gino.
listening in right now
Yeah.
if he wants to call in and fill
He's
us
gotta
in.
have a phone
But
up
basically,
there.
like he said that that like the banks and the people associated with that were really working hard to
Right.
figure this out, because a lot of basically the inside saw it coming a little bit quicker than we did. Like, we were still debating whether or not it was the next
Well, we were ahead
political.
of the president. I'll give us that. We were more worried than he was. And we're not running no country. So, I mean, yeah, right?
Yeah, man.
Like,
I think it's pretty messed up, but I also think that there's almost like tactical moves in doing it that way, because he didn't want to.
No good tactic. That's not like that.
You know what's even worse than the panicking the people is panicking the stock market, because all the rich people, their money becomes just a dice.
Now, did you pull up a picture yesterday of those? There was like 6 of them, right?
What, the cases of
people that are in politics, like the congressmen or some senators that sold their stocks and stuff. There was like 6 of them, right?
Yeah.
You pulled. I'm pretty sure we had a picture up yesterday.
Yeah, I could pull it up.
But yeah, it was. Yeah, they sold their stocks because they knew what the hell was going on, and they had plenty of time to get rid of stocks that they knew were going down. Which is, I mean, that's like fixing a fucking game, pretty much, right? Wouldn't you think? Like, you know that what's going on, and that the price of your stock's going to plummet. You listen to the Mang and Neads show?
Yeah, man. So the top ones were under scrutiny is Senate Intel chairman, ethics committee to review stock sales under scrutiny. Senator Richard Burr sold a fortune in stocks as GOP played down the coronavirus. Senators' stock trades after coronavirus briefings. That's the kind of thing where they actually were in a briefing. It's one thing when you are, you're just kind of like, whatever. Like you were saying, oh, we don't handle that stuff. Everybody can hide behind that they just have a broker.
Yeah, but that's bullshit. But your name's on it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, come on. You're telling me that they didn't ask for the go ahead to sell off something that otherwise you were holding on to, right? Like that was a.
Yeah. Okay. So here's a more neutral. Here's from the Toronto Sun.
Ooh.
You've got a pandemic 2020. You got Paris Hilton, Kim Kardashian, and greedy politicians. And this is an article that basically. Democrat Dianne Feinstein collectively sold about $11 million in stock between hotel shares. I mean, this is like, it's like the same thing happened in when we learned that all the people right after they let all the Saudi guys fly out when they had a no-fly rule and after 9/11, but they all got to get out of the country.
Right.
That's funny.
The old Saudis. So, Zimbabwe, man, they've had 3 total cases so far that have been reported. Just in case you were wondering.
I also heard Taiwan.
Taiwan. What do you want to know about Taiwan?
That they are like, they
Low?
nipped it. They are like, everybody should be looking at what they're doing, and I don't really know what that is. I think Taiwan's where you like smoke cigarettes when you're like 8, but but maybe they also know how to.
Madagascar's got 3 confirmed cases. Jamaica has 16 confirmed cases. Cuba, 21 confirmed cases. They've got it down so far. 117 in Costa Rica.
So what do we got? What's our
Well,
advice? Latest?
Canada has 1,378 cases. And then you start going up and it just starts popping up rapidly, like, well, not rapidly, but yeah, kind of rapidly, because you go to Sweden and they got 1,934 confirmed cases. And then right above them, Norway with 2,200. Right above them is Austria with 3,200. And then Belgium's got 3,400. And then all of a sudden, boom, Switzerland, 7,014. South Korea, 8,897 confirmed cases. So you go from like France with 1,400 and 485 cases, and then you pop up like to Spain, and they got 28,603. And yeah, we're just ahead of Spain. We've got 31,057 total cases that are confirmed in the U.S. Where's our what we got for death rates here? Man, there's 114 deaths in New York. So that's kind of, yeah, we're like, New York's the freaking epicenter for it all, really. Like,
I don't understand what I'm.
what happened? What'd you do to us?
No, updated this page of regular seizure running outbreak.
Well, you're listening to the Mang
It
and
says
Neads
it.
show.
It's so I
Sonic
got
Garden Radio.
15,000.
What do you got for New York? You've got
It just says
15,783 total confirmed cases in New York. Our death is 114 deaths in New York.
yeah. This website is outdated.
Oh,
Cases
no.
in the it's a
Oh,
CDC
no.
website.
Well, yeah, you got to go to the boys that know what they're doing over here at the John Hopkins boys, University John Hopkins. For some reason, they're like the head of the curve. Maybe somebody knows more than me that can tell me why they are, but
Well, I'm here on the CDC, and it's saying.
all right. Well, all I know is our Mr. Andrew Cuomo kept referring to John Hopkins and everything like that. So
This is crazy.
that they had the information. They got like a virtual map and like little hot spots on it, and you can see like Europe's blowing up with it. They got circles everywhere over there. Yeah, a lot going on, man. A lot going on.
This is outdated.
Oh. Yeah, well,
This is ridiculous. But
well,
they're
they just
saying
got the CDC back in full force, didn't they? Uh-oh. I got a phone call here, man.
Oh, you do? Who you got?
Yeah.
Take the call.
Hey, what's going on, man? How are you? Yeah.
Yeah, did you notice that Russia only has like 250 cases in the whole nation?
Really?
Yeah, so it's pretty interesting how they managed to dodge the bullet, or did they just not really release the accurate numbers?
Well, that could totally be the case.
or
Yeah,
or
so I
it's
thought that
just
was pretty
the way the
interesting,
cycle
after all
is,
these
and
cases in Spain and Italy and France, even like you said, low numbers, but still much higher than just a couple hundred.
Right.
success in there, huh?
Yeah, got all kinds of shit going on.
Juggling.
Here. You know me. But I got it now. You got any
Very
questions
good.
for him, Angelo?
No, can you hear me, Gino?
Maybe not.
You broke.
Well, maybe not. He's thinking. I'm sure. But yeah, how's everything? Your family?
Yes, they are. He can hear you now.
Yeah.
They definitely are staying quarantined.
Oh, now you're
Excellent. Yeah, I
getting
see,
some feedback.
Your mom and I share a birthday, and I wasn't able to get out and celebrate like we normally do at Ontario.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Nobody can do anything really right now.
Yeah, it's terrible, man. We took a little ride down 17 to Hancock, New York, and it was like a ghost town. I mean, we weren't going anywhere. We were going to run into people. We were just taking a road trip, but just to get out of the house.
Right. Definitely.
But yeah, not many people out there right now, which I guess is good. Everyone's heeding the warning.
I keep seeing more people, like if I come downtown or up at the lake even, I see people walking around. I see people on the sides of the river down here. Like, there's people out. They're not all together either. Like, I saw some people that were hanging out kind of together, but they were like 8 feet apart. Those are the smarter people, I guess.
Yeah, or maybe if they're close together, maybe their family, that they're already close together all day long. But not bumping into anybody new, or someone you're not running into on a daily activities. But I did see a few guys out in the river fishing as we got closer to Hancock on 17. But once again, same thing. 1 or 2 guys here or there. I didn't see any groups of people really of any sort.
Right. Yeah, I saw. Actually, somebody was down here when I was outside down here by the river. They were trying to put their boat in, or they were looking for a spot, but they looked like they gave up because they didn't want to carry it that far into the river. Seriously.
That was a nice boat launch. That was a nice boat launch down the Shenandoah River in Norwich.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, should have used that. I guess there must not be from the area.
Yeah, I don't know. There's boat launches all over.
I know.
Over by the high school and stuff.
Yeah, it might be their first day. But yeah, everyone's getting cabin fever. But you gotta follow orders and really be smart about it. I don't want to get my parents infected, or anybody for that matter.
Right. Yeah, I've been keeping my distance when I'm down here. Angelo and we're not near each other. When we are, we got our mask on, our trusty old mask.
The old gas mask. Yeah. You can't take chances, and it's not a personal thing. It doesn't pick if you're rich or poor. It's just it's spreading so fast that everyone's got to take a chance. Can't take chances actually.
Yeah. It definitely is spreading fast. Now, do you think we're like, I was just talking about how I knew somebody had got a letter about so they could drive back and forth to work. Do you think they're gonna like lock us down here shortly, or what's your thoughts on that?
I don't know. I think if traffic and people start doing what they're supposed to do and heed the warning, and it doesn't get congested, and people start picking up the pace again and start being oh cool, we missed it, and they start getting careless, maybe they'll just let everyone kind of self-govern, as long as we're using common sense. But I think if people start not paying attention or being ignorant to the fact that they're supposed to do certain things, then they may have to step in and just kind of remind people. Like I said, we did leave the house, but we never really left the car. We just drove around. Yeah,
they're not saying like the lockdown and to not be like that is for us, but we could go outside and do things. But like in the city, it's a whole different ball game. You start, you know what I mean? Like if you live right downtown Manhattan or whatever, like going outside, your chances are, if you're allowed to go outside, you're going to run into somebody that's close as hell to you.
Right. The numbers are just there. If 1% of a million people are out there, it's still a lot of people.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
and at the same time, like I said, I told my daughter, hey, we're gonna take some walks in the woods, and we're gonna go out and take some hikes. We're just gonna get out and kind of.
Yeah, even do some four-wheeler rides and stuff like that. Like even if you're out and you see people, you don't have to get near them. It's not like you know what I mean. That's the common sense part right there.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. That's why we're not there doing our podcast like we usually would. Just just out of respect of each other and our families. We don't want to get people sick. We know you guys are kind of isolated, and that's great that you're able to bring us the daily updates and give us some of the local stuff too that the big news companies aren't talking about. I actually stopped watching them and really kind of rely on you to kind of fill us in daily to kind of give us the more local scene and the more I don't want to say underground information, but
we're not afraid
the word on the street.
Yeah, we're not afraid either to find out what's going on and talk about all of it, not just one side of it either.
Exactly, and I like that you guys are bringing it from what the average blue collar working person in rural America sees, and that's what we're lacking on general cable television.
There is definitely, though, there is still a lot of people that that don't heed to the warning and don't give a shit, man. That don't think it's real. That aren't listening. That are going to their friend's house with 4 or 5 people and hanging out, which is kind of asinine if you ask me. But
Absolutely. I have an older neighbor who lives next door to me, and when I say next door, he's a couple hundred yards away because I'm up here in the country.
Right.
For people who don't know, but he's 70-some years old. His wife COPD, and she's on oxygen. And what do I see 4 times a day? He drives by my house. Oh, going to Walmart. Oh, going to Walmart again. And I'm like, why don't you take it serious? Stay home. Out of all people that need to stay home, they're the perfect example. And I'm not saying I'm immune to it, not going to get sick, but they have clear health problems, and he's out going to Walmart 4 times a day.
Right. Yeah, well, you have a way better chance if you do get it to get rid of it and be okay, recover from it. Which someone would they were naming all kinds of even if you have a heart murmur, diabetes, all kinds of stuff they were naming off.
They're elderly, and they do have those breathing issues, COPD, emphysema. Like I said, she is on oxygen, and he's older himself. He's not super healthy, but. Don't need to be going around just for nonsense because you're bored.
I talked to my friend that answers phones for one of these hotlines, like the number I've been giving out, that you would call, if you need to go get tested, and they're getting over 500 calls a day just around here.
Man.
Just around here in Norwich.
I wonder how much of that is people overreacting and they got a sniffle and they just want to get tested, and they want to be part of that whole, being on top of everything and being the first to kind of spread the gossip or, have some sort of drama. But there is people that probably are, generally showing symptoms out of that 500. So,
oh yeah, definitely.
When you're only talking, what are we, a population in the city of Norwich of about approximately 8,000 people?
Around there, yeah.
Yeah,
it's not any higher than that, that's for sure.
No, it sounds like 5%.
Yeah. So.
Unreal, man. So yeah, I just wanted to touch base with you guys and call in and let you know I do like the updates and relying on you guys to give us the the local information that we're not getting anywhere else, and you guys are doing a good job.
Well, yeah, thank you for calling. You got anything for him, Ange?
No, other than what do you think, Gino? As far as is this just going to be the new norm moving forward in society, where we really are going to be really sticking to our own? And we all still communicate through Facebook, and the way everything's set up, it's almost like we're in a perfect position to take that next step.
Yeah, it's almost like the new generation, like my daughter and stuff. They're not affected by it because they spend their whole day on their phone talking to each other rather than being in social groups. But that being said, I'm still working. My wife's still working. I have a small shop, so I'm not really in contact with many people. I've got a small repair shop where most of the time I'm, by myself working. But she is starting to work a lot more remote. Unfortunately, she has a critical job because she is in the risk field for a bank that she has to go in for a limited time to brief people and kind of stay on top of this. But she's talking that it could be into June. They are projecting some semi-long-term issues with this, or this could be the new norm for the near foreseeable future.
Right, definitely. Yeah, they were saying that some of this stuff when they said just essential businesses, like some of these other businesses are shutting down for up to 90 days, I saw.
Yeah, I really feel bad for the small mom and pop shops, and here I am. We were shopping for a camper, and like all the RV shops, they have to shut down. They don't know when they're going to be open back up. They don't know when they can make a deal. It's unreal what's happening, how it is affecting our economy and small people. I do believe we're not overreacting, but it does have a negative effect. We might be able to stop this virus and keep it from getting bad, but it's there's a trade-off, and it's going to be our economy is going to take a hit, and it's going to be unfortunate no matter which way we slice it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So, but I don't want to keep you on the line, and I know you've got some great more information to kind of share with us. So I'll let you guys keep on doing the good work.
All right, man. Thanks a lot for giving me a call. Appreciate it.
All right, man.
You
Take
and your
care, guys.
family
Be
stay
healthy.
safe, man. Yeah, stay safe, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks a lot.
All right,
All right,
bud.
take care.
All right, man.
Yeah, man, that was a call in
We had a little call in today. Oh,
from
yeah.
our very own from Sonic's Corner,
The old corner.
Gino Granada, calling in, giving us an update. Yeah, so the way, honestly, a lot of people and a lot of the way that our families and people live in this area, especially in the winter, is very secluded and hibernated. So in a way, spring's here, spring's coming. I guess we got a huge snowstorm coming also.
We might get a
Nor'easter. So that's a possibility too. We'll give you some updates on that. But
Everything's rolling away on me.
but basically, I think that this is just kind of going to set the stage for a new way of living where people just stay away from each other for the most part. Yeah, virtual reality.
Stay away.
And
Lot
like
of
he said,
video
our children, the
conferences.
children coming up are so accustomed to the way it is, the way that all works now, that it's really not going to be hard. Even this transition to all of a sudden working from home with school, yes, it's going to be extremely difficult for certain children that have a hard time with structure and, not somebody that's not constantly on them to do it. But man, I don't know.
Yeah, it's
It's going to be a challenge.
a wild one actually, right?
Yeah, we'll see where.
Like
It's just like everything, man. You can never predict
is it gonna go
what
back
it's
to
gonna
the
be.
where you start like where you can't get to work, or like where you gotta farm it from home and stuff like that, little small
Well,
farms?
it
and
would
stuff?
just seem
and then
to
you put
me-
your kids to work for yourself just for food and stuff. You already a lot of what I mean. If you've already got a place to live and stuff like that, like I mean, for a bit at least, right? So if this doesn't all if like the government doesn't figure the money out and stuff like that, when we come back, it's like everything's gonna be no one's gonna have any money to pay you, let alone give you work and stuff, right? Like stuff's gonna crash and fall apart.
Yeah,
People
that's
aren't gonna
what-
be able to open businesses, right?
That's kind of what I'm saying. Everything's gonna come to head here, and like right now, shutting down non-essential it puts we could name off that list and it's basically everything from electronics to
Right.
clothing
Sooner or
to
later, like even
so
if they're
like it
getting a little-
impacts everything.
even if they're getting a little money from the government, if they're not getting anything, they're not making money, no way.
Right.
So they can't buy stuff from the essential stuff, so then that hurts the essential people that can work. You would think.
Exactly. It's gonna and then no, think about this.
Double-edged.
All these people that are being forced to go to work for essential, they're gonna start getting sick.
Yeah.
The responders are going to start, it's going to start getting to the
Yeah.
point where those people all of a sudden they're going to be short on work,
I think over
and then it's going to basically, I don't know, man.
in Italy over 3,000 health workers have gotten sick already. I'm pretty positive.
Right. And that's on, so here, I'm looking at a different map here that I found, this
man
from
with the map.
Live Science, but this
Man with the
just
map.
breaks down, the purple states, dark purple are highly infected down to the ones that are least infected. And yeah, it's pretty it's just you got at least 10,000 cases in New York, California, Washington, then you're getting into like 8,000 in all those surrounding New York. 8,000, 6,000, so I mean they're really not far behind. And the least ones are basically that center strip that drops from the Dakotas down to Oklahoma,
Right. There's minimal cases out
And,
that way if you look.
New
Right.
Mexico, Alaska. So I mean, does that say the cold? I don't know, man. It's because he said
Nobody-
Russia was low, so is that a colder states, or maybe people are more bundled up anyway? Maybe I'm not sure.
I wanna
No,
know.
because that
I'm real interested in- It's just people who had it hadn't made their way there yet and infected enough people. Must be right. You know
that's
what I mean?
kind of what I'm thinking.
Well,
Is
yeah,
that
but
it's,
you know,
it's
you-
they're the least traveled. It's like less people are touring
And there's so
doing
many
any,
people in New York City and in Cali or whatever. You know
yeah,
damn well
and the
there's
tourism never
people,
stops.
There's
so
people that go to China or come from there, like you exactly like you just said. Tourists never stop, man.
and those are the places, and it's
even when we were getting
California, it's
warned,
New York,
People were still coming over here, and people were still going over there.
right?
And they were warning us in January. Right?
At
Yeah,
the same
January.
time, with this cold thing, you got it all the way into Michigan, Illinois, and all these places are heavy purple too. So it's not necessarily a cold thing. The other place, high plains, maybe, like it's high elevation, but then that doesn't work because
Yeah,
Colorado is
I
high.
just think like you get lucky with infected people coming in, and you know what I mean. Like there's not like Alaska's got a couple people, right? I think you just get lucky with where the infected people come. So say they come into New York City, so they infect some people there, but they go somewhere. You know what I mean? They go somewhere else in the U.S. and they haven't determined that they hadn't started feeling sick yet and stuff. So then they infect a bunch more other people. You're listening to Neads Radio. Sonic Garden Radio. Sorry, man.
Sonic Gardens Radio. Mang and Neads Show.
There we go.
Yeah, virus updates, and we got a nor'easter coming, so
We do have some
everybody
snow coming.
bundle
They're not
up.
sure if it's gonna whack
even
us
more.
completely or completely hit us, or we might get. I saw 3 to 5 inches. Not tonight. We're supposed to get a little bit overnight, and then tomorrow. They were looking at 3 to 5 during the day, actually. Less than an inch tonight. Now it's down, so it might not hit it now. So they've been calling for 3 to 5, but now they're calling for 1 to 3 tomorrow afternoon. Gonna have some rain now. Now it's gonna be a little warmer than they thought, from what I am reading here. So we're gonna get some southeast wind, 10 to 20 miles an hour, and then we're definitely getting a 100% chance of precipitation. And that's going to be a mix of rain and snow for a bit, but it's still saying we might get 1 to 3 inches. So,
All right, we'll see what happens.
so we'll see when. Now, do you think that we're going to get like a mandatory don't leave your fucking house unless you absolutely have to go get a prescription or food or fuel for your house? Do you think we're going to get that kind of lockdown? Maybe not. You don't need to be inside, whatever, but don't leave your property and stuff.
Yeah,
You think that's coming, right?
I do.
I do too. I believe that.
I believe that that's the next step. They're like you said, they're allowing us to self-govern until they just realize that the majority of people are idiots.
So, we just had a call in from our good friend Gino. So he was talking about Russia. So I pulled up the numbers on Russia, and Russia has had a total what do you think for a total confirmed cases? Just let's play a little guessing game.
Okay, they've
It's
had
over. It's well over 100.
then it's under 1,000.
It is under 1,000. It is 367 total cases.
Holy shit!
0 deaths, and 16 people have recovered so far.
So
Now, are they just behind the, you know what I mean? Because obviously it went from China to Italy first. So are they just behind the, did they fucking pay attention though? You know what I mean? That could be a case too. Like some of these other places might have paid attention and were like, nah.
But okay, let's
you're
say
not
they.
flying in here from there.
Yeah, well, we'd have to look into their information to find out if they shut down their border or they shut down their airports.
We need to
you'd
get
think
a
that would have
contact
been
number for Putin's office, and we'll
give them a shout.
give him a shout. We don't need to talk to him, just his office.
I don't know, man.
We're gonna need a translator.
Yeah, I don't know. It's actually it's just a bizarre situation.
Man, if their predictions are right and we're gonna go like I'm gonna pull that up next, but if we're gonna catch up to China and Italy, like I don't want to at all, but man, we're at 31,000 and they're at like Italy's 59 and China's 81. Like that's a big fucking increase from where we're at now.
Well, that's why this whole thing. I mean, like they said that even Cuomo was on there and said 60. He even said even higher, didn't he?
Yeah.
Of people that were going to get infected. So,
Well, the percentage he thought, like at least in New York State, he thought from like it was 40 to 80. He said. I think you got like 4 that are like that have done all they've done to the businesses, like we have, like Illinois did for sure. Cali, I believe now is in like lockdown mode.
right.
I'm pretty sure.
Well, San Francisco did first, and
Right.
now they're doing it for everybody. Yeah. But lockdown mode again. What does that mean? Does it suddenly become time to deliver food? It's like just so funny because as it's like you're creating all these jobs that need to be done delivering food, but I guess you're breaking down all the. Yeah, man, crazy.
And they're running out of everything. They're running out of masks, and they like. No one's told these companies that they have to. There's companies that are doing it anyways, but no one's told these companies that they have to make masks or they have to make ventilators or they need sanitizer or other stuff like that. No one's. Or now I read this morning that the stuff to take the test, after the test is taken to do the test to see if you got it or whatever, they're going to run out of that stuff at some point. And they're not. And the guy was saying we're not going to be able to make it fast enough. So, I guess that in that case scenario, you'll have to just, if you think you got it, hang out and quarantine until it's the last straw, and you need to go to a hospital, right? Like, if there's no test available to you.
Yeah, then they would just all of a sudden now you would really assume that if you're sick you have it.
Right.
I mean, man, it's hard. It's hard to say, man.
A lot going on in the world right now.
A lot going on.
Well, there is and there isn't. There's a lot going on in that aspect, but other than that, like,
it's actually in a way the world is shutting down, but it's also
so many
scrambling.
unanswered.
Just want to give thanks to all the people again out there.
Yeah, all the
that are
healthcare
pushing through
worker,
it.
everybody, man, that's doing their part. That is great. There's just so many unknowns too, like about what's gonna happen and when. People are worried about everything: money, paying bills. I'm more worried about.
We're getting like a serious awakening. The other factor was like Italy, with everybody not being in the canal. You can see the fish for the first time.
Yeah.
Dolphins are jumping.
That's great.
I don't
It's
know.
usually busy as shit over there, and then poof.
And then you got like the smog in China is
So-
decreased.
I know
There's all these
somebody
things that say maybe this is better. Maybe they are cleansing. The
Right.
environment's cleansing itself.
Yeah, they're spraying down.
gave us a
everything
chance.
over there, man. Like the streets and shit.
Yeah, they
This-
said this is your last chance.
Yeah. So I know somebody, older fella actually, that was over in Italy 4 weeks ago and's been home. Yeah, been home for about 4 weeks or whatever, and they haven't got any symptoms or anything. So, which is a good thing. But he was right over there. I don't know exactly where in Italy, but so people were definitely coming from over there. That's just like no
yeah,
one.
it was business as usual until a week ago.
Yeah, it's wild.
This is
though.
day
Like,
7 of the
when
official
I started
shutdown.
hearing all that stuff about even like China, or I'm like, fuck, man. There's like, if it's that serious that they finally said something, China of all people, if they're saying something and people are going against their government to get the word out that this is happening, then this is a real deal. Like,
Yeah.
shoo. Do you have any hot jams in there? You have a
Probably
tune
got
for
something
me
I can
today?
pull up. We can finish this one we were working on here.
Yeah, let's have a tune. You're listening to Sonic Garden Radio today.
Yeah.
If you're listening, that's what you're listening to. Oh, you never told anybody. Don't forget to subscribe if you get a chance.
Yeah, we're trying to reach 1,000 subscribers. So
Yeah,
if
we
you
are.
can and you haven't, please subscribe to our little
Even one
ding
a day,
dong.
man.
Hoorah.
Tell a friend.
Mang and Neads show.
Mang and Neads show. Tell a friend. Maybe they'll tell their friend. Maybe they'll
Sonic
block
Gardens
us.
Radio.
Sonic Garden Radio.
Makes me feel fine.
So,
Every little
what was
word
the
that you
song?
said to me keeps
This is
my
so
heart
true.
on time.
ain't nothing like it.
Red blood flowing like a rough that beat. You want me out by. Ain't no doubt, cause it's plain to see. Set your soul on fire. Something so true is what I get from you. And I hope that you'll see you get the best of me. Something so true is what I get from you. And I hope that you'll see you get the best of me. Ooh, yeah. Ooh, yeah. Delicate love spread around to the people in your life, sharing the weight and the pressure just to make it right. Hope one day you can get it back if the karma stuff is true. Here's a little song just to make you start, called Something So True. Something so true is what I get from you. And I hope that you'll see the best of me. Something so true is what I get from you. And I hope that you'll see the best of me. Ooh, yeah. Ooh, yeah. I said, ooh, yeah. Ooh, yeah.
All right, and we are back. Sonic Gardens Radio, Mang and Neads show. We got ooh-wah fading back at the desk with Mr. Joshua Needham. Here we are. He's muted though. I think I muted him. Sorry about that.
Sonic Garden.
Sonic Gardens Radio, Mang and Neads show.
Mang and Neads. I heard myself, but you couldn't hear me. Unbelievable. Unreal. So, anything exciting going on in
No, that was Sonic Gardens recording of just a rehearsal jam from Shaka
like it, yeah.
doing the song "So True." Hope you enjoyed that.
Beautiful.
Continuing on, I guess we really we're just here. We are day 7 running this thing
Number
every day.
7.
Trying to give you guys the latest updates, the vibes, the morale of the people, at least myself. But then again, I'm not really seeing anybody. Just sticking to and from, but out and about.
Out and about.
You know, everybody can still, around here it's gardening time.
Yeah.
The only thing is everybody's always going and getting their mulch and their the dirt. And
Yeah, you
all
gotta
that
figure.
stuff,
You
so.
gotta be creative and innovative.
Yeah,
That's what
so you get
gotta
out
do.
there,
Try new shit.
clean
out.
up your yards.
Yeah. Or sit on your couch.
Either way.
Either way. Do it while you can before the power goes out and you have no more cable and your internet doesn't work and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You know. We're gonna hijack the radio waves when that happens, but so you'll still be able to listen to us.
That's right.
We're gonna make that happen.
It's a moment of realization where we really have to decide what is important.
Right.
And what is
sometimes you have to take a step back and not forward, which, you know what I mean? That's sometimes you do, man.
That's right. So
We're
I
gonna
guess
do
everyone
big things.
get used to this. And
Uh-oh.
oh, we got a call.
We got a hot
caller coming
jammer.
in.
I
Thank
don't
you
know
very
who it
much.
is.
Let's see.
I guess I'll have to answer it to find out.
Go
who it
ahead.
is. Hello.
Sonic Gardens Radio.
How you doing, Athena? How are you? We're doing good.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you up to today?
Today I'm just working on. I don't have any. Just kind of like been in the woods, getting some soil, and we have some compost I'm gonna mix together. So just getting stuff ready for a garden.
Yeah.
It's gonna be super important.
Business as usual
Well,
in
that's
the
awesome.
gardening.
Yeah. I feel like everybody should try to start
Yeah, they got.
a little bit of their own food.
Yeah, we were just talking about. Yeah, you got to start doing things that you might not have done before.
Yeah. I don't know. It's getting kind of wild. I talked to a friend yesterday that lives in the Hudson Valley, and she works at a restaurant, and one of her coworkers has it, so she's pretty sure she might have the virus too.
Oh no! So she quarantining herself then?
Yeah, she is.
Oh man.
But basically, it's like a lot of like keeping the fever down. Like her friend has to drink a lot of water to try to keep the fever down. So, I mean, for a normal, healthy person, if that's what we really have to do, I mean, I guess that's not so bad.
Right. So
It's a lot worse for other people.
So has your friend your friend herself got the fever too?
No, she said that she's feeling fine, but she was only with that person like 5 days ago.
Oh.
And then they got sick the next day, so they got a test. But I guess you have to get a prescription for the test. So,
Oh really?
yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's different in every hospital.
Right.
I guess you have to get a prescription and then wait a couple days, and then they'll do the test.
Huh. Yeah, they're and that thing can stay. The coronavirus can stay dormant, or you cannot have any effects for at least 7 to 10 days also.
Right.
And then it comes on real quick. I've seen a couple people they had on TV. They were talking about the fever, like you said, the fever was so bad they've never felt anything like it in their life. Their chest was a lot of pressure on their chest. Their whole body was hurting.
Yeah. Yeah, I worry about, like, like the older folks, especially ones that are, like, overweight or,
Right. That's what I worry about. Like if someone like us gets it, and yeah, there's a chance we might be able to kick it no problem and feel like shit for a couple weeks. But what if we give it to somebody that we care, or anybody actually, not even if you just care about them, but you know what I mean, that and something bad happens to them, that would absolutely blow.
Right, and that's kind of where I'm at, too. Like, I went to work on Monday. Excuse me. I got a frog in my throat. Hopefully not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to work on Monday, and then I had my mother pick me up Tuesday morning. So it's like, you know, it was in
Did I lose you?
Norwich. So it's like I would, and for me to be exposed to somebody that could have possibly been in an area where somebody else had it, it's very possible.
Right. Yeah, I see my mom and dad a lot too, and I worry. That's one thing I really worry about is if I get it, giving it to them or.
Yeah. But I mean, so like, I talked to somebody.
You're breaking up a little bit. I think we might have lost her. Well, you're listening to Sonic Garden Radio. I think we lost her. She'll call back if she we'd like to hear the rest of what she had to say. But yeah, we there's a lot going on, huh, Angelo? You listen to Sonic Garden Radio. This is mAng and Neads show. That was just Athena. She was calling in, telling us a little bit about what she is experiencing and had going on
In the 607.
in the 607.
So she decided to quarantine herself with her parents and get some gardening done.
Yeah,
That's not a bad idea.
that's a great idea.
See, so the call, I'd really like to get a call from Curtis, man. Shit he was
Oh.
talking about.
Yeah, we gotta get
Come
him
on,
to call
Kurt.
in, right?
We're gonna call Kurt. Actually,
You
we're
call,
gonna
him up and you do it from in there, and you do the talking, and then
Do I have the thing?
no, but you could call him. You got a phone, right?
Oh yeah, I could just
Just
call
put
him.
it on speaker, and yeah, you know the drill. Call the big fella up and see who he's been talking to. He's our top reporter. He's my top reporter. I know that much. Anything I need to know, he makes the phone calls. He gets it done, man. He talks to the scientists. Give him a ring. Get him on the phone and just put him on.
Cold call.
Yeah,
Kurt Dog.
Kurt Dye. The knowledgeable one. You're live.
So basically, what Curtis was talking about, briefly was
Pick it up, Curtis.
So Curtis was talking about, one of the things was just that this was even worse than anybody's thinking.
It
He's
is.
predicting the ultimate worst. He knows that I'm trying to call him to get him on the air here.
What
So
an
he's
ass.
not gonna answer.
What an
Well, you
ass.
you knew why you told me to call him, because you knew he wasn't gonna answer your
No,
call.
he won't answer mine.
That's why you told me to call him.
No, I knew that you had all the right
So-
questions for him. I don't have
Oh,
all the.
okay.
I've already asked all these questions before. Now
Well,
I
he
know
was, he was talking about he's been
that he might call back.
he's
so
been
be
watching some
watching.
scientists and such. So what he's worried, is that when you really think about this, all these diseases, from smallpox to measles to SARS, Ebola, H1N1,
Right.
there is no cure for any of them except
Right.
for smallpox.
Right.
So he's just saying how
Was he telling?
there's no real cure coming for this, and when it started, it supposedly was like only human or only animal to human contact, and then
Right.
somehow it jumped from human to human contact, and now we're getting the flow of that, and that's why
And it keeps mutating.
that's why everybody's been writing it off as nothing. But this isn't something that's going to go away. It's going to keep coming back. And
Right.
then next year it's going to be the 20 and the 22, and it might be 25 that really wipes out, 90% of the people instead
Right.
of 10% of the people, or 5% or 2%, which the numbers are not done, so we can't say. The only numbers, right? China's on a down. They're like officially like, or did they let everybody out and now boom, it's happening again? Like where is our ground base for what's next?
I
you
mean-
know, where are we looking?
I mean, their apps. See, they still have like. They might be on a down right now, but there's 81,000 of them, a little bit over 81,000 that got infected with this that tested positive. 59,000 have recovered. So I don't like.
So
But-
everybody's recovering?
But they went on. No, not everybody. Because
I don't understand. That sounds like 80,000.
80. So
and then
81,000,
59 have recovered.
and then 59,000 have recovered.
Okay.
So not everyone, and I'm sure there's still some people recovering because there's the.
But you're
deaths
looking at
aren't-
the same numbers. Whatever the deaths are in comparison, those are the numbers. So what's it bring down the final like
the deaths are only
percentage?
3. They got like, what is it? 3,100 for deaths. So there's still people that are either recovering, that could recover or die, basically.
Right. So it's going to be the same numbers. So if you're looking at 80,000, 300, you just like the math would increase the same.
Right.
59, 300. So whatever. It's like it's going to end up being 1%.
Well,
1%
but
of the
Italy's in a different
population.
situation because they've got 59,000 that got infected, and they've got 5,476 deaths. So, and only 7,000 of them have recovered in Italy. So there's a different. It all depends on where it's at. So now, was it not as strong as it was in? So is it?
Is
So-
it getting stronger?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like in Italy, is it because they say China's where it started off. Now, did it
mutate?
Yeah, and get stronger as it hit Italy, and then
Mutate
same with us
again when it
because
hit
we got it
us.
from another place. Like we don't know exactly where it came from.
I'm
don't
not
know
sure
exactly.
I'm not sure why mutation would happen once it hits like a different
Well,
area,
it's just the
like,
thing is getting stronger
so
though.
quickly.
Like
It seems
we
like
were, I was
mutation's more of an evolution.
we were talking with Curtis before, and he was saying before it was just animal to human, and that's the only way you could get it. And then it started mutating inside of a human and taught itself how to go from human to human.
And now they're saying, they're closing obviously they're closing like zoos because they don't want people around the animals, like the gorillas especially. And, I don't know. So now are they going to start saying that our animals, our dogs, cats are
No,
going to
they
get
were
sick?
walking that away, like, no, your dogs aren't going to get it. Your dogs aren't going to get it. But what were you saying? Or I saw, we heard something earlier about, was it monkeys or something? What was it? Was it gorillas? They were worried
Yeah, it was
about gorillas.
Yeah,
gorillas.
They were worried about gorillas.
Yeah.
That's what I just said.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Evidently, I wasn't.
No, so, yeah, that's it. I was hoping to get a call from Curtis because he was getting deep into the other ends of it,
Top
of like
reporter.
what's really going on. Where we're just kind of swinging as we go. He would have been our top reporter, but
Yeah, when you're a reporter, don't call or answer.
but he'd rather us not mention his name. We should have left it
Yeah.
anonymous.
I tried not to, but
Hey, I dropped it. Name dropping.
fucking Uncle Droppy.
Smartest guy we know.
Yep. Manga Needs Show.
Researches.
Sonic Garden Radio.
Amen.
Wonder,
So yeah, just lines are open. Anybody wants to call in, number 607-373-HEAT. That is 607
HEAT. No.
HEAT. HEAT.
Heat.
4328. Let us know what
So,
you guys are doing. You're gonna do the
yeah.
normal. You're gonna get your gardening going. I want to hear
Gardening.
about that. What are you gonna grow? Are you gonna grow vegetables this year? Are you gonna grow?
I mean, I would.
Are you gonna grow flowers? It's
Right.
time to get sensible.
right.
It's time to start growing things that are gonna benefit you and your family.
Grow
And
some
start
corn,
realizing
man.
that.
Fill that
What's
yard
gonna
up.
leave the shelves first? What are you gonna have to do without first? Is it gonna be the Doritos, or is it gonna be the broccoli?
I don't
Which
eat
one?
Doritos, so broccoli would be first for me.
Well, I'm saying which one's gonna be more scarce? I mean, whether or not we want to believe that, I think the farmer markets are going to shoot right up.
Right.
Anybody that wants to make some money, because I think the mass transportation and of vegetables is going to be more difficult than the processed foods.
Right. They were worried in the Midwest about getting people to work for them if is what I heard a couple of the big farmers talking.
Judging by that map, it seems like it would be those people are like, fuck this, I'm staying home.
Right.
Because they're the least infected right now.
Right.
The Midwest up to Canada, kind of the center strip of the country.
They get a lot of people in on work visas too for those farms to work. And I believe they shut that border down, or a couple them down. Like, you know, I mean, you can't just come here to work right now. I don't believe, right? We'd have to check into that.
I imagine nobody's
coming in on a work visa.
All that stuff's on pause.
Yeah, exactly. So,
but what about now? There's a situation. There's still all those. Is all the people still, detention camps and these cages and all this stuff? Is that still going on? And is that spreading? And what are they doing to help that situation?
Well, I would have to say that from who we got running the show, that you would think that if they didn't believe in this, that they still got all that going on. I mean, there's other things to worry about, obviously, for this guy, where should let them all go, man. I mean, to me, like, the more people, there's just more chances of getting infected. No one's fucking immune to this.
Yeah.
Having your people that work for you, yeah, that's it's just. Yeah, if your streets are locked down and you're not supposed to be out there, then there's not really a lot of crime to fight and stuff, and that's less interaction for everybody. There's gonna obviously be people that don't listen, don't heed the call to stay home or locked up and go out and try to do some criminal activity, but I would say no.
Rand Paul tests positive.
Really?
Ohio on lockdown. Angela Merkel.
Yeah.
Quarantined. Rand Paul tests positive. Ohio on lockdown.
Huh.
Look at that.
Lockdown.
So yeah, you heard it here first. Live blog.
Live blog.
What else we got here?
I don't know, man. Sonic Garden
the
Radio.
German chancellor. Yeah, Angela Merkel. That's who it was. I was like, who is that? In quarantine after a doctor who treated her tested positive.
Ooh.
Rand Paul became the first known U.S. senator to test positive. He's feeling fine and is in quarantine. He is asymptomatic and was tested out of an abundance of caution due to his extensive travel and events. Senator's Twitter account said on Sunday. Elsewhere, China ended a 3-day streak of reporting no new coronaviruses after 46 people tested positive for COVID-19 on the same day.
So that sounds like they weren't testing anybody for a while.
Yeah, China's National Health Commission also reported 6 new deaths. 5 of the deaths occurred in Wuhan in Hubei province, where the outbreak originated last year.
Yeah, 2019. Jesus.
So yeah, man, Rand Paul.
Rand.
He got it.
He done did it. All right. Mang and Neads show.
Sonic Gardens Radio. What else we got?
What else we got?
That's it, man. I don't know.
All right.
We could wrap it up. I guess
That's
we
a
don't
quick
have any
update.
real more. We could play another song.
Yeah, let's
do
have
anything.
another hit.
Have another hit tune off the board. See what I can pull up here.
Huh. Well,
See, it's like this is all pre-New World stuff, you know. We like had no idea it was coming.
The Olympic Committee is considering different scenarios for Tokyo, and one of them is including postponement for the Olympics this year.
Tell us about it while I cue this up, Josh.
Well, the executive board, they're just they're doing a little planning, little meetings. They haven't quite figured it out. The Olympics supposed to start July 24th, I believe. That doesn't look like it's gonna happen. I know there's a bunch of Olympic teams that are calling for it to be postponed until 2021, I believe, is what they wanted. Germany, they're restricting gatherings of 2 or more people, or more than 2 people, however you want to word that. We already did Italy's death toll. That was 5,476, in case anyone out there is interested. Spain's death count is up to 394. For some reason, the great governor, Cuomo, he wants Bill de Blasio. They wanna open the parks and stuff more, and let people, or maybe he wants to dense it down a little bit because he saw too many people in the parks. The governor did, gathering in too big of bigger crowds, I guess. So he thinks it's reckless, arrogant, and selfish to be gathering in such big crowds. Even, I don't know, it looks like there was 5 or 10 people there, but still. So what do you got for us in there?
I got a song for us.
What's it called?
I'm going to do the Shaka song, No Tomorrow, from,
Ooh.
you can find this clip also on the station here.
You never know, man. There might never be no tomorrow.
So this is recorded on March 15th, which was 1 week ago today, which was before the end of the world.
As we know it.
And we are now in day 7 of a lockdown, trying to do something about this virus. We'll see what happens.
All right. Remember that 328,000 people worldwide are infected, have tested positive. So we're going to have it tomorrow. It'll be a little dicey, but
we're going to keep this thing rolling.
Rain, sleet, or snow will show.
See you guys in the afternoon.
Yeah, man.
Closing this one out with...
Don't forget to subscribe either if you got a second, or tell a friend.
Just trying to get 1,000 subscribers.
That's it. That's
a little thing.
Just a small number.
Keep updated.
You know?
MAng and Neads Show.
All right.
Sonic Gardens Radio.
Sonic Garden Radio. MAng and Neads Show.
Perfect for this day and age. We don't know how many people are going to survive Corona. So live life like there's no tomorrow.
Say that anger lies within you, and that it burns you at both ends. I never asked for all this trouble, and maybe that's why I'm depressed. say everything you do is gonna be for nothing. So don't waste the time you have. I'm falling down with grief and soaked up all the pain. Hit the bottom, but I'm rolling in my grave. I can't take more of this sorrow. I'm up to my ears. I know that it ain't easy to let go of all the pain you hold inside, even when it seems there's no tomorrow. You can hold the ones you love, never let your feelings lose the battle, because the fight has just begun. I know that it ain't easy to let go of all the pain you hold inside, even when it seems there's no tomorrow. You can hold the ones you love and never let your feelings